Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. The Doctor is in. We are starting case 2 of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy today. And I am going to be sending out the notifications as per the usual practice. And let's see. Hold on, I think I missed a channel. No? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Four Gathers, for the follow. Appreciate it. Oh, you know what? Give me just a second. I just realized I need to open up my stream labels real quick. Here we go. All right, let's go ahead and get things started. Hello, this is Maya. Hey Maya, it's me. Mia, what's up? You haven't called in a while. Sorry, I've been so busy. How have you been? Oh, thank you for the follow, Decided Ash. I appreciate it. Well, lonely, and it's all your fault. Nah, I'm just teasing. I've been great. I'm finally getting used to having my own place. That's good to hear. Actually, I'm calling because I have a favor to ask. I know. You want me to hold evidence for you? Sharp as always. There's a lot of buzz about the upcoming trial. I just don't feel safe keeping the evidence here. I gotcha. So what is it this time? It's a clock. A clock? Yeah, it's made to look like that statue, the Thinker, and it tells you the time. I thought you might like it. You always like toys. Hey, I'm not a little girl anymore, sis. Now, you know I'm only teasing. Well, thank you so much for the lurk, Ash, and I'm glad to hear that you like this game so much, so this actually works out. I should probably tell you the clock isn't talking right now. Huh? It's not working? That's lame. I had to take the clockwork out, sorry. I put some papers inside it instead. Papers? Is that the evidence then? Well, there's a possibility that it might turn out that way, yes. Can you come by the office tonight, say 9 o'clock, to pick it up? I'll be in a pre-trial meeting until then. Okay, sis, but I expect dinner, something good. Like burgers! I could really go for a good burger. Okay, we'll hit the usual joint. Yeah, I've actually played the Phoenix Wright trilogy before, but I wanted to stream it because I'm working on my voiceover skills, so... And since this is pretty much entirely text, that works out well for me. Love this trilogy. Okay, we'll hit the usual joint. Alright, it's a deal. Okay, sis, see you soon. Yep, I'll be waiting, Maya. Conversation recorded September 5th, 9:27 a.m. Now, Miss Fay, I'll take what's mine. The papers. I'm sorry, but I can't give you what I don't have. Miss Fay, you are a poor liar. Why, I see it right over there. That must be the thinker that swallowed those papers. How could you know? Oh, you are not cogniferous of my background. Gathering information is my business, you see. I should have been more careful. Oh. My dear Miss Fay, I'm so very sorry, but I'm afraid I must ask you for one more thing. Your eternal silence. Farewell, Miss Fay. Red, white, blue. Uh-oh, I'm late. That's strange. Guess the chief left without me. She said her sister was coming over, so we should all go out for dinner. What's it smell? Blood? Mia! Maybe she's in her office. That smell. Blood. Sis? Someone's there. Chief? Chief? Chief! Who are you? Strange girl dropped out cold. I left her lying on the office sofa. Went back to the chief where she lay under the window. Her body was still warm. I could feel it when I held her shoulder. Then all too quickly, it began to fade. Until finally she was cold. Chief. Chief, it's hard seeing her like this, but if there are any clues here... She was struck on the head with a blunt object. She probably died instantly. The thinker lying next to her must have been the murder weapon. There's some glass shards near the chief's body. Must be pieces of the glass light stand lying broken in the back of the room. Nothing else like that. Nothing else that seems like a clue here. A piece of paper. It must have fallen from Mia's hand. What could it be? The word is written in blood on this scrap of paper. Maya? Did Mia write this? This piece of paper is a receipt from a department store, dated yesterday. I think that's enough snooping around for now. I better call the police. Find out what that girl was doing here. Right. I better call the police. That's funny. A few of the screws on the receiver are missing. Looks like someone was half through taking it apart. Police? Please come quick! What was that? Someone screaming from outside the window? She's staring right at me. She's holding a phone in her hand. There's a large building right across from the office. The Gatewater Hotel. A nice, luxurious place. phone receiver's missing a few screws. I better not use it. Well, now what do I do? Let's see. Maybe I'll go to the... That girl just now, where'd she go? I put her right there on the sofa. Oh, I hope she didn't run on me. Yeah, don't scare me like that. Excuse me, but who are you? It's okay, I work here. Maya Fey. Maya Fey? Maya? So Mia was writing this girl's name. Maybe I should show her the receipt. I never thought there'd be a use for evidence like this outside the courtroom. Before Mia died, she wrote a message with her own blood. She wrote it on the back of this receipt. That's my name! But why? Why would she write my name? Please, just calm down. But why would Sis write my name? Oh, now I've done it. The police! Sounds like they're coming this way. Freeze! Police! Alright, I'm Detective Dick Gumshoe, see? Gumshoe? What an odd name. We received a report from the building across the way, see? Got a person saying they saw a murder. Must have been the woman I saw. Anyway, I don't want either of you moving 1 inch, okay? Great, just great. Maya, wait. She wouldn't have... Nah. Whoa! Excuse me! This word Maya here mean anything to you? That's my name. What? The victim drew this here note in her own blood, see? With her dying breath, she wrote down the killer's name. Killer? Case closed. You're coming down to the precinct, ma'am. What? Mia's younger sister, Maya, was arrested on the spot. I was taken in for questioning and didn't get out until the next morning. My eyes were heavy, but I couldn't sleep. Sat around waiting for visiting hours to begin at the detention center. I had to talk to Maya as soon as possible. Wow, I have poor Maya locked up like a criminal. Oh, it's you, the lawyer. Good morning. Good morning. She looks so tired. Are you going to be my attorney? Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. First things first, I better get her cheered up. Yeah, of course I will. Cheer up. Really? Whoa, did I say the wrong thing? She looks sadder now. What's wrong? You don't think I can do it? No, no one could. Who would believe me? Even you, when you found me in the office, you looked at me like I'd done it. Did I look at her like that? No, I never thought... It's okay. I understand. And I've also heard about you. Heard? Heard what about me? I was talking to my sister on the phone the other day. Today was my junior partner's first time in court. Wow, really? How'd that go? It was quite the scene. Honestly, I was on edge the whole time. It's been a while. So he crashed and burned? He's a genius. One of those strike fear into the hearts of evil types. The only thing he's lacking is experience. Huh. Sounds like it was fun. Well, I know who to go to if I ever get into trouble now. I don't know, Maya. I think you might want to wait. Give him 3 more years. That is, unless you want to be found guilty. That's what she said. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult you. No, it's okay. It's true, I guess. But at the same time, I can't just sit by and watch. When I think of the person who did this to Mia... I know. There's something I've been wanting to ask you. Yes? What's with that outfit? Oh, this? This is what all acolytes wear. It's my uniform, you could say. Acolytes? Like people in religious training? What is it you do? Oh, it's nothing strange, really. I'm a spirit medium. In training. A spirit medium? I'm pretty sure that qualifies as strange. Could you tell me about the day of the murder? Yes. Well, let's see. That morning, I got a call from my sister. She wanted me to hold on to a piece of evidence for an upcoming trial. Evidence? Yes, that clock shaped like the thinker. The one Larry made. How could that have been evidence in a case? Right. She said something about that. I remember. Do you want to hear it in her own voice? Her own voice? Yes. I'm pretty sure our conversation is on my cell phone. You recorded it! Yeah, I forgot how to delete those things. So you say you have a conversation with your sister on your cell phone? Let's hear it. Right. Oh, I just remembered that detective took my cell phone. Sorry. Oh, right. Of course. Next time I see Detective Gumshoe, I'll ask him for it. I'll write you a note so you don't forget, okay? Sure, thanks. So, you're an acolyte, or medium in training. That's right. The Fae family, especially the women, have always been very sensitive to the spirit world. Hey, Reeve, thanks for joining. How you been? Wait a second, you say the Fae family? So, Mia was into this stuff too? Of course. She left the mountain to follow her career, she said. Her powers were first class, too. I had no idea. Wait. What? So you're a real, honest-to-goodness spirit medium? With ESP and all that? Yes, in training. Well, can't you contact Mia's spirit, then? We can just ask her who killed her. I'm sorry. I am still in training. I couldn't do something on that level. I thought that would be too easy. Something the matter? I was wondering, could I ask you a favor? This is the address of a famous lawyer. My sister gave me this a long time ago. She said if I was ever in trouble, I should call him. 1 second. Okay, hydration complete. And, well, I'm in trouble. Do you think you could go ask him to represent me? Sure, why not? I'll go ask. Thank you so much. I have no one else to turn to. Say, what about your parents? I see. Don't worry, leave it to me. Thank you. The trial's tomorrow at 10. But what? Tomorrow? Tomorrow. What if this guy refuses? They told me if that I don't find one, the state will pick an attorney to defend me. When will that happen? They're giving me until 4 o'clock this afternoon. And visiting hours are almost up. I better hurry. Right, I'll be back. Why is this still not checked? Could you tell me about the day of the murder? Sorry, I know it must be hard. No, it's okay. All I've been doing the last few hours is talking about it. I've kind of gotten used to it. Let's see. That morning I got a call from my sister. She wanted me to hold on to a piece of evidence for an upcoming trial. That's the thinker clock Larry made. Practically qualifies as a serial murderer by now. So then when did you arrive at the office? It was right around 9. The lights were off and I could smell blood. Then I found her. My sister. Thanks, Maya. That's all I need to hear for now. Okay, let us move to the Grossberg Law Offices. According to the receptionist, the big boss is out. She couldn't say when he'd be back. Must be hard to keep track of everything when you're a famous lawyer. Oh, look, we've got some fool who's trying to... what's the word I'm looking for? Scam us. There we go. That's the word. Yeah, get rid of that count. All right. Well, he's gone. Or it. It's probably a bot. Not to mention run an office like this. I guess I'll just have to come back later. To the Fay & Co. Law Offices, then. Scene of the crime. The office is filled with police officers. Invisible police officers. They're all busily searching for clues. Hey, you there! This is a crime scene, pal. No trespassing. Sorry. Don't I know you from somewhere? Wait, you're that Butts guy, aren't you? No, Phoenix Wright. How could anyone mistake me for Larry? Guess I got the wrong name, Mr. Wright. Sorry about that. That Butts guy, he was a killer, and you're no killer, right? He was proven innocent. Right. And you were... I could just answer the correct one, but I'm kind of curious to see his response if I call him Detective Gumtree. Gumtree, was it? Detective Gumtree? Gumtree? Gum doesn't grow on trees, pal. And I'm the one in charge here, so don't push your luck. Whatever you say, Detective. Anyway, get the name right. And don't go calling me Dick. Hey, Dick, get over here. Yes, sir. Be right there. You're a lawyer, right, pal? You got business here, you better do it quick. Phew, he thinks I'm Maya's lawyer. About Miss Fay, did you do an autopsy? You want to know the results, eh? Now, don't you look at me like that, pal. It's no use. She might have been your boss, but that doesn't mean you get any special treatment. Alright, you can see the report, but that's all. Let's see. Time of death, 9/5 at 9 p.m. Cause was a single blunt force trauma. Death was instantaneous. About Maya. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the trial. Sorry, pal, but this is one trial you ain't gonna win. Why do you say that? Sadie's put Prosecutor Edgeworth on the prosecution. Edgeworth? I'm sure you know what that means, you being a lawyer and all. Prosecutor Edgeworth. That's right, pal, Mr. Miles Edgeworth himself. Wait, you do know him, don't you? I know him. He's a feared prosecutor. He doesn't feel pain, doesn't feel remorse. He won't stop until he gets his guilty verdict.
Oh, don't talk about him that way. You make him barely sound human. Still, I'm afraid this pretty much decides the case.
So Edgeworth is on this one. He hasn't lost a case since he became prosecutor at the incredibly young age of 20. Of course, there are rumors of back alley deals and forged evidence. One second here. All I know for sure is that Edgeworth hates crime with an almost abnormal passion. I never imagined I'd be facing him so soon. Alright, let's see.
What's that? Sorry, pal, but I got no info for the likes of you.
There was a piece of paper next to the victim, wasn't there?
Yeah, the one with the killer's name written on it.
Are you sure that Mia wrote it herself?
Given the condition of the writing, it's hard to say if it's her handwriting or not.
So there's no proof that Mia wrote it. I was wondering, did you see Maya Fey's cell phone?
Oh, that. I have that.
Do you think you could give it back?
Sure, I mean... Wait a second, pal. Tricky lawyer.
Oh, he's on to me. Tell him straight. If I tell him why I want it, there's no way he'll give it to me.
Something the matter?
Oh, no, it's just, you know, detective.
Nope, I know nothing, pal.
That cell phone has a lot of numbers on it, like her boyfriend's. Cell phone holds all a little girl's sweetest and spiciest secrets.
Yeah, you're trying to confuse me. Sorry, pal, I already checked all the numbers in memory.
Impressive, you're quite the detective.
Uh-huh. Oh, here, you can have the phone back. There weren't any suspicious call records in there, after all.
Seems he didn't notice a recorded conversation. Check the court record to hear the recorded conversation. Okay. I guess I've asked all the questions I need to. Let's see. Okay, the recorded conversation. Okay, it's what we already heard in the opening to this case, so I'm not gonna read over it.
You all done, pal?
Yes, thank you. I'll be heading out now.
Oh, wait. One more thing I wanted to mention to you. I don't suppose you're planning on talking to that witness. Anyway, you'd better not. No influencing the witness with your lawyerly ways, pal.
Come to think of it, I had completely forgotten about her. The witness?
Yeah, Miss April May. I'm sorry about this, but I can't tell you anything about her.
Well, you just told me her name. Miss May, huh? So you've sent her home already, then?
Haha, you're trying your lawyerly tricks on me now. She's not to go outside her room until the trial.
So she's still in the hotel across the way. I guess I should know better than to try and get a detective to leak information.
You got that right, pal.
Time to pay a visit to Miss May. Gatewater Hotel. Well, hello there, handsome. Hi. Smooth, right? Real smooth. You're the lawyer, aren't you? The detective told me. He said, don't say nothing to that lawyer, pal. Memo to self. Thank Detective Gumshoe for making my job harder. Gee, this is all like something out of a movie. It's all so exciting I can hardly contain myself. Ooh, let me go freshen up so I can look the part of the beautiful eyewitness. I pity the lawyer that has to cross-examine this one. Oh wait, that's me. Now this looks suspicious. Who leaves a screwdriver just poking out of a drawer? There's a screwdriver stuck in this drawer. I wonder what's inside. Let's take a look. Hey! Hey! What are you doing? No touching. Ooh, bad boy. You really shouldn't pry around in other people's rooms now. You wouldn't want to make me upset, would you? Upset? I thought she was going to explode for a second there. I wonder what could be inside the drawer. Do you think you could tell me something? I need you to describe what you observed at the time of the incident. Ooh, observe. Incident. You sound just like a lawyer in the movies. I like a man with a big vocabulary. Better not encourage her. You know that thing that occurred and happened the other day, the bad thing? Yeah. What did you see when it happened? I don't suppose you could tell me about it. Pretty please? Let me see. Well, dream on. If you want to know, you'll just have to come to court tomorrow, Mr. Lawyer. Oh, boy. Could you just... who exactly are you? Ooh, Mr. Lawyer, are you hitting on me? No! Hey, I'm just doing my job here. You know, you're cute when you blush. Believe me, this is the first time in my life I've blushed this much. Right. Can you just tell me what it is you do? Well, no. And you had your little hopes up, didn't you? Oh, boy. I see there are 2 glasses on the table. Is someone staying here with you? Ooh, what amazing powers of observation. You must be one of those famous detectives like on television. Oh, no, not me. I'm just a lawyer. Say, Mr. Big Detective, why don't you go look for clues? In the garbage, Miss May doesn't like nosy little lawyers. Oh, boy. Well... I guess we'll go over to, Grossberg Law Offices, because I'm not getting anything out of her. It seems like he's still out. Well, maybe I should just wait here for him to come back. That wasn't the most over-the-top clearing of the throat I've ever heard.
Ah, haha. So you're the one they say has been looking for me.
Yes, that's me. He looks even grander than I imagined.
Huh? That badge on your collar. Ah, so you're a lawyer, are you now?
Yes, well, yes.
And what do you want? I'm not particularly busy these days. Please, proceed.
Not busy? Then how come no one could get in touch with you?
Something the matter? You came to see the one and only Marvin Grossberg, did you not? Well, here I am, boy. What do you want? Out with it!
Well, sir, it's, actually about Maya Fey.
Yes, Maya Fey. Go on.
Why the strange reaction?
Cha-cha! I'm really quite busy here, son. I can't go taking cases on a day's notice. No, it's quite impossible.
Wait a second. How did you know the trial was tomorrow?
Anyway, I'm afraid it's entirely impossible for me to represent her. Sorry. End of discussion.
What's going on? He refused me before I even got a chance to ask him. What do I tell Maya? How can you just refuse like that? Please, tell me why you won't take the case.
Well, you see, it's just, I'm busy, you see.
But the client is Mia Fey's sister. Mia trusted you. She knew her sister would be in good hands.
Yes, of course, I know that. However, I'm sorry, but I must refuse. Sorry, goodbye.
Creep. Fine. I don't have time to argue with you anyway. I'll go look elsewhere.
Think not.
Huh? Did you say something?
I think not, I said.
What do you mean?
I'm terribly, terribly sorry. I'm afraid that no lawyer worth their salt will take on this particular case. Terribly sorry, my boy.
Why?
I cannot say. I beg your pardon, but could you leave now? I've nothing more to discuss with you.
What's going on here? How did you know Mia Fey?
She worked here a long time ago. Quite the apprentice, that one. Learned my techniques in the blink of an eye. She left one day quite suddenly. She had a mission, you see.
A mission?
You could see it in her eyes. She followed it with a burning passion. Never looked back, that one.
That's quite a painting.
Ah, you noticed. It's my pride and joy. Impressive, isn't it? Well, isn't it? The color of the sky, the hue of the sea, a weave of the straw hat. It's worth at least $3 million. I have no intention of parting with it, of course. No, I won't sell it. Not even to you.
I wasn't interested.
It's not for sale.
I'm not buying! Jeez. Okay, well, I guess we'll go back to the detention center then. Hiya. Oh, you're back! Did you find the lawyer? Well, what do I tell her? Well, see, just be honest. I really don't think you should use that guy. He didn't seem healthy. He was all skin and bones. Just be honest, okay? What really happened? You don't mean he refused to help? I see. I've been abandoned then. What about your family? I only had my sister. My father died when I was very young, and I don't know where my mother is. Don't know? So she could still be alive? The women in my family have been mediums for generations. They say a lot of spiritual power runs in our blood. About 15 years ago, our family was involved in an incident. There was a man and he ruined our mother's life. Ruined? After that, she disappeared. Several years after that, my sister announced she would become a lawyer and left the mountain. So, you live by yourself? Yes, I've gotten used to it. Oh, also, I had to become independent or I would lose my powers. I feel bad for her all by herself up on that mountain. So, who is this man who, ruined your mother? About 15 years ago, there was an unusual murder case. It made quite a stir. Everyone was talking about it, apparently. The police were running out of leads and they were getting desperate. Wait, they didn't use a spirit medium, did they? The police convinced my mother to try to contact the victim. Wow. So what happened? The case was solved, we thought. You thought? The man my mother helped the police capture was innocent. The police's consultation with a medium had all been carried out in secret, of course. But a man found out about it and leaked it to the press. He told all the papers that my mother was a fraud, and the media jumped on it big time. My mother, became the laughingstock of the nation. I see. White. Excuse me? White? That was his name. My sister told me. White? Just a little longer now before the state appointment lawyer comes, I guess. 4 p.m. Time's up. What should I do? Do we just leave her and go home? I've made up my mind. I'm going to defend you whether you want me to or not. Why? Why? Well... no one is as sad as a person without any friends. I know. I've been there. A long time ago. Why did he become a lawyer in the first place? Because someone has to look out for the people who have no one on their side. Maya, I won't abandon you. You can count on me. That's so kind of you. Well, let's fight this one and get you out of here. Right, thank you. Phew, she smiled at last. She looks like an entirely different person. One last question. You are innocent, right? Yes. And I trust you. So you trust me too, okay? It's a deal. So what next? There's something that's been bugging me. Just what was inside that strange woman's drawer? So when I tried to look in the drawer that she got all defensive. There has to be something in there. Alright, moving back to the Gatewater Hotel. Good afternoon, sir. Excuse me, you are... I beg your pardon, sir. I'm the bellboy of this establishment at your service, sir. Oh, right. I've just come up to deliver room service, sir. Do you know where Miss May might be? I believe I guess Miss May is currently using the, facilities. If you've no need of anything, I'll be taking my leave. Please, stay as long as you like. Enjoy. Yeah. Wait, no, hey! Why does it seem like every time I come here, I end up embarrassing myself? Wait. Now's my chance to snoop around a bit. I almost forgot. You came back quick. Might I ask you to inform Miss May that there is a message for her? And please tell her that Mr. White of Blue Corp phoned. Oh, right. Sure. Mr. White of Blue Corp? Where have I heard that name? One second here. White. That was his name. My sister told me. White was the name of the guy who ruined Mia and Maya's mother. Could it be a coincidence? There's a screwdriver sticking out of that half-open drawer. Now's my chance to see what's inside. What do we have here? A wiretap? Huh. What would a woman like her be doing with a thing like this? There's definitely something suspicious about this Miss May. Why would she have something like this in her hotel room? There's a story behind all this, I know it. Alright. I'll be using this bit of evidence in tomorrow's trial, that's for sure. For Maya's sake. I'll get to this woman's bottom. Wait, I mean, you know what I mean. Oh, bellboy, still there? Uh-oh, time to scram. I look forward to tangoing with you tomorrow, Miss May. In court. In court, I mean. Okay, saving progress from the investigation. Let's see how long the trial phase takes.
Court is now in session for the trial of Maya Fey.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Miles Edgeworth. I better not show any signs of weakness today or you'll be on me in an instant.
Mr. Edgeworth, please give the court your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant, Miss Maya Fey, was at the scene of the crime. The prosecution has evidence she committed this murder, and we have a witness who saw her do it. The prosecution sees no reason to doubt the facts of this case, Your Honor.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Let's begin then.
If we may call our first witness, Your Honor. The prosecution calls the chief officer at the scene, Detective Gumshoe. Witness, please state your name and profession to the court.
Sir, my name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm the detective in charge of homicides down at the precinct, sir.
Detective Gumshoe, please describe for us in details of this murder. Please describe for us the details of this murder.
Very well, sir. Let's use the floor map of the office to explain. The body was found by the window here.
And the cause of death?
Loss of blood due to being struck by a blunt object, sir. The murder weapon was a statue of the thinker found next to the body, sir. It was heavy enough to be a deadly weapon even in the girl's hands, sir. In a girl's hands, sir. The court accepts the statue as evidence.
They're still calling it a statue. Now, Detective.
Yes, sir.
You immediately arrested Miss Maya Fey, who was found at the scene, correct? Can you tell me why?
Yes, sir. I have hard evidence she did it, sir. Detective Gumshoe, please testify to the court about this hard evidence. As soon as the phone call came in, I rushed to the scene. There were two people there already. The defendant, Miss Maya Fey, and the lawyer, Mr. Phoenix Wright. I immediately arrested Miss Maya Fey. Why? We had a witness account describing her. A witness saw Miss Maya Fey at the very moment of the murder. The very moment, you say? Very well. Mr. Wright,
I can use words. And I gotta adjust my seat here. Give me a moment.
Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Cross-examine what? I couldn't see a single contradiction in that testimony. Whoosh. Smack. Wordsmith? Hey, Maya just threw something at me. What's this? When my sister couldn't find any contradictions in a witness testimony, she would bluff it and press the witness on every detail. The witness always slips up and says something wrong. It worked lots of times. Huh. I should have expected Maya would know some of her sister's tricks. All right, let's give this a try.
Something the matter?
No, Your Honor. I'd like to begin my cross-examination.
As soon as the phone call came in, I rushed to the scene.
Who did you say you got a call from?
Hey, pal, don't play dumb. You know who. The call was from a customer at the Gatewater Hotel, right across from the crime scene.
Okay, I pressed. Not sure I did much, though. Right. Please continue.
There were two people there already.
Detective Gumshoe, how long would you say it took between you receiving the call and your arrival at the scene of the crime?
Right. I'd say it was about 3 minutes.
That's pretty fast.
Our motto this month is quick response. That's how I got there before the killer got away.
Indeed. So tell us who the two people you found on the scene were.
Yes, sir. The defendant, Miss Maya Fay, and the lawyer, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
Are you absolutely sure it was us?
Listen, pal, your dumb act will only get you so far. With her funky hippie clothes and your spiky hair, you two stand out like suspicious people at a crime scene.
Well, he does have a point about her. She is pretty unmistakable. I should pick my points of press with a little more care.
I immediately arrested Miss Maya Fay.
Why is that? What's your reason?
Why? We had a witness account describing her.
Hold on just 1 second.
Yeah?
If I heard correctly, you said you arrested her because you had hard evidence she did it, correct?
Huh? Did I say that? Me?
I heard you say it.
You did say it.
You said it. Exactly what about this suspicious woman in Pink's claim was hard evidence?
What? Miss May isn't suspicious, and she sure isn't pink, pal. Well, I guess she is pink. That's enough, Detective Gumshoe. Do you have any more solid proof other than her claims, Detective?
I guess pressing can have its advantages.
Yes. Sorry, I got the order of things mixed up in my testimony, Your Honor, sir. There's something I should have told you about first, Your Honor. Very well, Detective. Let's hear your testimony again. After securing the suspect, I examined the scene of the crime with my own eyes. I found a memo written on a piece of paper next to the victim's body. On it, the word Maya was written clearly in blood. Lab test results showed that this blood was the victim's. Also, there was blood found on the victim's finger. Before she died, the victim wrote the killer's name. How you like that? That's my hard evidence.
Hold on, gotta adjust my seat again here.
Before we begin cross-examination, I have a question for you, Detective.
Yeah, I gotta adjust my mic too. There we go.
Your Honor? Why didn't you testify about this vital piece of evidence the first time? I know. I'm real embarrassed I forgot about it, Your Honor, sir. Try to be more careful. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. After securing the suspect, I examined the scene of the crime with my own eyes. I found a memo written on a piece of paper next to the victim's body.
Oh, right, I need to press. And did you find any evidence?
No, don't jump the gun on me, pal. Just listen, I'm getting to the good part.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I found a memo written on a piece of paper next to the victim's body.
Just because you found it next to the body doesn't mean the victim wrote it.
Oh, and who did write it, smarty pants?
Who? The killer. Anyone can see that.
Huh. You're saying the killer wrote her own name? Buddy, please.
She was framed. Hold on. If that's the case, where's your evidence? I guess that was a bit of a tall order for you. Those without evidence shouldn't open their mouths, Mr. Wright.
Yeah, pal.
Well, Detective, tell us what was written on that memo you found.
On it, the word Maya was written clearly in blood. Lab test results showed that the blood was the victim's. Also, there was blood found on the victim's finger. Before she died, the victim wrote the killer's name.
Right, death was instantaneous according to the autopsy report, so... Detective Gumshoe, there's one thing I want you to clarify for me here. You say that the victim, Mia Fey, wrote this note. That she was accusing the defendant, Maya Fey? That's really what you're saying.
What? This isn't one of those lawyer tricks now, is it? Of course he wrote it. Who else could have?
You have it backwards, Detective.
Backwards?
The victim is the only person who absolutely could not have written it. This is a report from your department, Detective. Immediate death due to a blow from a blunt object. She died immediately.
But...
No butting your way out of this one, Detective.
Order! Order! The defense has a point. Someone who died immediately wouldn't have had the time to write anything down.
Mr. Wright, I beg your pardon, but when exactly did you obtain that autopsy report? When? It was the day after the murder.
The prosecution's point being?
That autopsy report is outdated, Your Honor. But what? A second autopsy was performed yesterday at my request. Death was almost immediate due to a blow from a blunt object. But there is a possibility the victim lived for several minutes after the blow. I received these results this morning.
No way!
Your Honor, it's quite easy to imagine that the victim did have time to write Maya. And that is all.
I see.
Damn you, Edgeworth. I should have known you'd have something up your sleeve. Why, Mr. Wright, you look shocked. Something you want to say? Mr. Edgeworth? I've heard there's nothing you won't do to get your verdict. What reason could you possibly have had to request a second autopsy report?
Mr. Wright, the defense will refrain from personal attacks on the prosecution.
No matter, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, say what you will, the evidence in this report is undeniable. Your Honor, I submit this report to the court.
Understood. The court accepts the evidence.
Well, Your Honor, the evidence strongly suggests that the victim was identifying the killer.
I suppose that's the obvious conclusion, yes.
Darn, this isn't good. The prosecution would like to call its next witness. This poor, innocent girl saw the murder with her own eyes.
Let the witness, Miss April May, take the stand.
Exactly what part of her is innocent? Witness, your name, please. April May. At your service. Wink.
Order!
Sorry, getting my Merdswicks here, folks.
An introduction should not require any reaction from the crowd. The witness will refrain from wanton winking.
Aw, yes, Your Honor. This is not good. She's already captured the heart of every man in this courtroom. Tell us, where were you on the night of September 5th when the murder occurred? Gee, I was, in my hotel room. Tee. I checked in right after lunch. And this hotel is directly across from the Fay & Co. Law Offices? That's right, big boy.
Please testify to the court about what you saw.
It was like 9 o'clock at night. I looked out the window, you know. And then, I saw a woman with long hair being attacked. The one attacking her was that mousy girl sitting in the defendant's chair. Then the woman, dodged to one side and ran away. But that girl, she caught up to her and she hit her. Then the woman with the long hair, she kind of slumped. The end. That's all I saw. Every little bitsy-witsy. Wink. Well, Your Honor?
I see. It is a remarkably solid testimony. I don't see a need to trouble the witness any...
But wait, Your Honor!
Yes, Mr. Wright?
What about my cross-examination?
I thought the witness testimony was quite firm, didn't you?
Mr. Wright, I understand you were Miss Mia Fey's understudy, were you not? You must know her techniques well. Her cowardly way of finding tiny faults in perfectly good testimonies. Hey, how dare you!
Well, Mr. Wright, will you cross-examine the witness?
Yes, I'm doing it. I'll gladly proceed with the cross-examination. If only because I have a feeling Edgeworth doesn't want me to. She has to have some weakness.
Very well. You may begin your cross-examination.
It was like 9 o'clock at night. I looked out the window, you know. Why did you do that? Huh? Why? Why what? Why did you look out the window? Were you expecting to see something? Oh, well, gee. What, that's it? She can't get out of this question that easily. I sort of, I had a feeling. Well, I have a feeling she's trying to avoid the question. Maybe I should press a little harder on this one? Let's see how far I can run with this. Surely you must have had a reason to look out your window at that time of night. Ooh. Mr. Wright, I will not have you badgering my witness. The badgering? You insist on needling her with these trivial questions. I really don't think it should be allowed.
Yeah, stop him! A poor girl. Order! Mr. Wright, you have been warned.
Poor girl? What about poor me? You looked out the window. What did you see next? And then, I saw a woman with long hair being attacked. The woman with long hair, was that Mia Fey? Mm-hmm. Slender. Sort of, well, some people might say pretty, if that's your thing. Your thing? And the person attacking her? The one attacking her was the mousy girl sitting in the defendant's chair. How do you know she was the defendant? Oh, wrong button. Huh? Well, she had a girlish physique. Women know these things. Look, I just know, okay? There was only one person at the scene of the crime with a short, girlish figure. The testimony is bulletproof, Your Honor. He's right. Hold on a minute. That testimony stinks. But what? Miss May, I'm willing to bet that... Are you telling the truth? Did you really see the defendant?
Mr. Wright, what's the meaning of this?
Yes, what is the meaning? Somebody tell me, because I'm clueless about this I mean. Okay. If you had really witnessed my client, Mia Fey, you would have noticed her clothes before noticing her physique. No one wears clothes like this on a daily basis except her. And I'm no expert on fashion, but her hairdo looks far from normal to me. However, the witness's testimony mentions neither of these things. The testimony is bogus. But...
Still, we don't know if she was dressed like that the night of the murder.
She was, Your Honor. I saw her. And so did Detective Gumshoe. What do you say to that, Miss May? Rawr, what are you trying to say, you mean lawyer? I saw what I saw. I just didn't think all the trifling little details were necessary, darling.
Miss May, the court would like to remind you to please omit nothing in your testimony.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'll be a good girl, I promise. Wink.
Your testimony again, if you would.
Damn, I almost had her. I did see everything. I did. The victim, the woman, dodged the first attack and ran off to the right. Then the girl in the hippie clothes ran after her. And she hit her with that weapon. I saw it. I did. That clock, that kind of statuey clock? The thinker, I think. Well, does the accuracy of my report not startle you? Tee-hee. The accuracy of the report does startle me, because there's something that she knows that she shouldn't.
I see. I only wish you had been so detailed from the beginning. Please begin the cross-examination.
I did see everything. I did. The victim, the woman, dodged the first attack and ran off to the right. Then the girl in the hippie clothes ran after her. And she hit her with that weapon. I saw it. I did. That clock. The kind of statuey clock. The thinker, I think? Miss May, what you said just now was quite revealing. Revealing? Ooh, you'd like that, wouldn't you, naughty Mr. Lawyer? You just said that this statue of the thinker was a clock, but there's no way of knowing that just by looking at it. Another person in much the same position as you recently called this a clock, too, and he was found guilty of murder.
Order! Order!
Miss May, can you explain how you know this was a clock? Ooh. The witness saw the murder with her own eyes. That's all that's important here. The defense is trying to confuse the issue with trivial concerns.
Yes, of course. You will withdraw your question, Mr. Wright.
But questions are all I have, Your Honor. And as you may recall, I've caught murderers with these questions before. Well, only once.
Objection sustained. You may continue to question the witness.
Yeah, that was close. If he stopped me there, the trial would be over. Huh? What? So what happens now? What happens now is you answer my question. How did you know it was a clock? What? That's... Because I heard it? Yes, I heard it say the time. So, you've been to the law office of... You've been to the law offices of Fay & Co. No, hey, I didn't say that. Why would I go there? I heard it from my hotel room. The law offices of Fay & Co., where the murder took place, is very close to the hotel. She could easily have heard the clock.
Well, Mr. Wright, are you satisfied?
No, Your Honor. Can't give up now. I'm not satisfied because... Your Honor, members of the court, it's inconceivable that the clock in question rang. That clock is missing its clockwork.
How could you possibly...
Just take a look right now. Oh! See anything interesting, Your Honor?
It's as the defense says. This clock is missing its clockwork. It's quite empty. Mr. Wright, would you care to explain to the court the meaning of this?
It's as you can see. The clock was empty. It couldn't have rung. Therefore, this witness is a big fat liar. Fat? Well, Miss May? Quite a show you put on for us, Mr. Wright. He knew the clock was empty. Somehow he knew. I'm afraid you've forgotten one thing, however. Indeed, the clock is empty. As you say, it can't ring. However, we must ask, when was the clockwork removed? If it was after the witness heard the clock, then there is no contradiction.
That's true, that's a possibility. The clock might have been emptied after she heard it.
And that is exactly what happened, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Wright, can you prove when the clockwork was removed?
Oh, impossible, of course. I have proof. What? Wasn't it you who told me proof is everything? Well, I was listening. And now I'll show you the proof you like so much. The evidence that proves when the clockwork was removed is... my cell phone. Because that describes the clock's inner workings being removed. Take a look at this.
That's a very cute cell phone.
Ooh, you have a girly phone. But wait, this isn't my phone. Listen, this is the defendant's cell phone, and it contains a recording. A recording of a conversation she had with a victim on the day of the murder.
Order, order!
The defendant's cell phone?
This wasn't brought to my attention.
Perhaps Detective Gumshoe overlooked it.
The good detective better remember he's up for evaluation soon.
I gotta say, I'm starting to feel bad for the big fellow. Let's hear the conversation. So you just want me to hold on to the thinker for you, then? If you could. I should probably tell you the clock isn't talking right now. Huh? It's not working? That's lame. I had to take the clockwork out. Sorry. Your Honor, I think this makes it clear the clockwork was already gone by the time this was recorded. Which was well before the witness even arrived at her hotel. Well, Miss May, would you care to explain this to the court? Just how did you know that the weapon was a clock? Well, isn't it obvious? I saw that clock before. What store was that again? I go to so many. Oops, I forgot. Wink.
So the witness had seen it before. That would make sense. Does the defense have any objections, Mr. Wright?
Yes. The witness claims she had seen it before, but this directly contradicts a piece of evidence already submitted to this court.
Well then, let's see it. Please produce this evidence that will prove the witness had not seen the clock before.
It's simple. This clock was never in any store, ever. But what? A friend of mine made that clock. Only 2 exist in the world, and the one that isn't here is in police custody. Impossible! Everything is sold in stores. Miss May, I think it's high time you went shopping for a better excuse. Oh, excuse is not on sale today? Ooh, oh.
Ah!
What's it to you, porcupine head? That stupid clock doesn't matter, okay? She did it, and she should die for it! Die!
Whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a court of law, and the witness will remain calm.
Oh, silly me. Did I, lose it? I guess I did. Wink. Scary.
Miss May, let me ask. Tell me, how did you know the weapon was a clock? Oh dear. Does the defense have an opinion on this behavior?
Okay, this is it. Yes, Your Honor. Allow me to explain how I see the truth of the matter. Miss April May, you knew the weapon was a clock because... This is familiar territory. I'll just use the same approach as with Larry. Miss May held that very clock in her hands.
Mr. Wright, when was this?
When she used it to strike the victim. When else?
Order! Order! Mr. Wright, what is the meaning of this?
April May, you killed Mia Fey, I say. Hey, that rhymes. And when you struck, the force of the impact made the thinker ring. That's when you heard it. You truly are a work of art, Mr. Phoenix Wright. What's that supposed to mean? It was you who just proved that the thinker was empty. Oh. Of course it wouldn't ring. What's more, the witness has a rock-solid alibi. Miss May, perhaps you could explain to the poor, misguided Mr. Wright that you were in the hotel at the time of the murder? She can't prove it. She did it. It would be my pleasure. No way! Yes way, Mr. Lawyer. Tee-hee, didn't the murder take place at 9 that night? Gee, that's the exact time I ordered some room service from the hotel bellboy. Incidentally, the bellboy corroborates the witness's story. Ergo, she was not at the crime scene. Rock solid.
Mr. Wright, you've just made a serious accusation against a perfectly innocent woman.
Sorry, Your Honor. That didn't go so well. But if that's the case, then how did she know the thinker was a clock? Wait. Your Honor, I figured it out. There is one other way Miss April May could have known it was a clock. One way alone, and I have proof.
Well, proof, you say? And the court will examine your proof, Mr. Wright. How did the witness know the thinker was a clock?
It's gotta be the wiretap device. Because then she would have heard the conversation. Have a look at this. Ooh, that? I found this in Miss May's room.
Mr. Wright, please explain to the court what this is.
Miss April May, you were tapping the victim, Miss Mia Fey's phone, were you not? Ooh. Your Honor, this is irrelevant.
I'm not entirely sure that it is. Objection overruled. It troubles me that our witness was in possession of a wiretap.
This is outrageous. The defense truly claimed that the witness was tapping her phone. Absolutely. Even if that was the case, which it's not, you still have to prove one thing. Did the victim ever say that the weapon was a clock on the phone? Can you prove that? I think not. Oh yeah, I think I can. It's simple. What? Here's my proof. The proof that the victim said on the phone that the weapon was a clock is... Let me double check this. It's a clock. It's made to look like the statue of the thinker, and it tells you... Okay, yeah. I was right. Just wanted to be sure. I present the defendant's cell phone.
Yes, we've seen that.
Listen once more to the conversation between the defendant and the victim. Mia, what's up? You haven't called in a while. Well, actually, there's something I want you to hold on to for me. Again? What is it this time? It's a clock. It's made to look like that statue, the thinker, and it tells you the time. Miss April May, you used a wiretap to listen to this conversation. That's how you knew the thinker was a clock. Am I wrong? Your Honor, this is ridiculous. Your Honor, look at the witness's face. Does she seem amused to you? The defense demands an answer.
Witness, answer the question. Did you tap her phone? Miss May!
Shut up, all of you! What gives you the right to talk to me like that, you lawyer? It's no fair, all of you ganging up on me like that. Oh, so I'm the bad girl, is that it? Is that it? That did it. The court's seen the real Miss April May now. Now to deal the final blow. Miss May, why did you tap her phone? Answer the question. Do I have to? Isn't this a murder trial? Isn't tippity-tapping irrelevant? She's saying exactly what Edgeworth wants her to say. Miss May, you were tapping the victim's phone. I hardly call that irrelevant.
While this court does not condone the defense's tone of voice, he has a point. Well, Miss May, do you have an explanation for the court?
At the time of the murder, I was in my hotel room getting room service. How could I have killed her? If you don't believe me, just ask the bellboy.
Well, does the defense have anything to say?
Well, come on, think of something. The defense would like to call the hotel bellboy as a witness. There's something suspicious here, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I think you've sunken quite low enough already. I object to calling the bellboy. But why? What's your reason? Because I hold that the wiretapping had nothing to do with the killing. However, if you agree to one condition, I'll consent to calling this witness. Condition? If Miss April May's alibi is not called into question after you examine the bellboy, then you will recognize that Miss April May was not the killer, thus she is innocent. And thereby you must also accept the verdict of guilty for Miss Maya Fey. That is my condition. What? I better find something suspicious in that bellboy's testimony. Otherwise, Maya will be declared guilty on the spot. What should I do? Alright, I've got nothing to lose. Well, except for, well, everything. Understood. I accept your condition. Fool. You fell right into my trap. Uh-oh. Wait.
Very well. The court calls the hotel bellboy to the stand.
I believe we're ready for the witness to testify. He certainly does look like a bellboy. Yes, sir. I received your summons in the middle of work, sir. I'm happy to be of service.
That tea set looks rather heavy, so without further ado, the witness may begin his testimony.
Very good, sir. I'm the head bellboy at the Fine Gatewater Hotel, in business for 4 generations. I believe I received a call after 8 o'clock in the evening from our guest, Miss May. She asked for an iced coffee to be brought to her at 9 o'clock on the dot, sir. I brought it to her at precisely the requested time, of course, and I delivered the iced coffee to our guest, Miss May, herself.
I see. The defense may begin its cross-examination.
Right. I'm ready. I hope. This is it. If I can't prove Miss May was involved with the murder now, Maya will be finished. I'm the head bellboy at the Fine Gatewater Hotel, in business for 4 generations. What exactly is it you do at the hotel? Why, anything required of me, sir. I check in guests, I check out guests. I clean rooms, I make beds. I even deliver room service, sir. I checked Miss May in personally. Are you always so prim?
Mr. Wright, you will refrain from asking frivolous questions.
I believe I received a call after 8 o'clock in the evening from my guest, Miss May.
Are you sure it was Miss May on the phone?
Absolutely, sir.
How can you be so certain?
I checked Miss May in personally, sir, and not only did I see her in all her stunning radiance, but I also heard her voice. And then I saw them, and I... the point being, I remembered her quite well, sir.
Yes, what then?
She asked for an iced coffee to be brought to her at 9 o'clock on the dot, sir.
9 o'clock on the dot, you say?
Yes, I confirmed that detail several times. She was watching a program on the TV and wished to drink after she finished, sir.
9 o'clock, the time of the murder.
I brought it to her precisely at the requested time, of course.
Precisely 9 o'clock, then?
Precisely, exactly, and most definitely, sir, 9 p.m.
How can you be so sure?
Miss May was quite insistent that it be brought then. Oh, bellboy, tee-hee, I'd like iced coffee at exactly 9 o'clock. Something like that, sir. Therefore, I knocked on her door at the crack of 9, sir.
Why would she be so particular about the time?
And I delivered the iced coffee to our guest, Miss May herself.
You're sure it was Miss April May herself?
Absolutely, sir.
Absolutely?
Yes, sir. As in, so very absolutely, sir. It's an endearing mannerism of mine.
How come you're so very certain?
Well, when I brought the room service, sir, the guest, sir, favored me with an embarrasser, sir.
Embarrasser? Is that French for embrace?
It's French for kiss, sir. But not a French kiss, sir. More of a peck on the cheek.
Why would she have done that?
I believe perhaps she was momentarily persuaded by my prim demeanor, sir. It was a moment I shall never, ever forget, sir.
Sounds pretty fishy to me. I think our Miss May was up to something and wanted the bellboy to remember her. It's no good. There's nothing there. Is that it?
Finally, you understand.
That wasn't very cash money of you, what?
This bellboy has absolutely no reason to lie. Now, if you have any decency, you'll end this rather tedious cross-examination here.
It was a bit tedious. The witness may leave the stand.
I can't let this happen, can I? But wait, please wait.
Yes, the defense have something to add.
One last question. Let me ask one last question. Your Honor, I must object. This charade of justice has gone on long enough.
No, Mr. Edgeworth. All right, Mr. Wright, I'll give you one more question. That's all.
Okay. This really is it now. My last chance. What do I ask him about? Check-in, perhaps? Tell me about check-in. Tell me about when you checked in Miss May.
Oh, all right. Very well, sir. My first thought was that she was a beautiful, beautiful person. She's just my type of girl, so it was a bit disappointment, really.
I see. Excuse me? What exactly was a disappointment?
Well, I'm not without charm, sir, but even I'd have little chance with her lover there.
What did he say? What did you say?
Rather quite.
Bellboy, tell us the truth, now. Did Miss May check in with another person? I object. That was Objectionable.
Objection overruled. The witness will answer the question.
Yes, I see.
Why did you not mention this in your testimony?
Well, sir, you didn't ask.
Nice try. That's the sort of thing you're normally supposed to mention.
Yeah, it's quite, indeed. It was the good barrister there, Mr. Edgeworth, who... He asked me not to mention it if I wasn't specifically asked, sir.
Fool!
One second here, I gotta fix something. There we go. Okay, by the way, if you guys would like to join my Discord, I've got the link in the chat. I've also got the links to my YouTube if you want to watch any of my previous videos, as well as my Twitter account if you'd like to follow and keep up on all the latest updates. And of course, if you like my content, please give me a follow here on Twitch. All the followers do help. Anyway, let's continue. I've done it. I've won. Miss April May checked into a twin room with a man, correct?
Yes, sir. Then, when you brought them room service, you didn't see that man in the room.
That's right, sir.
Your Honor, we have just learned of another person involved who may have been the murderer. In light of this new fact, I hold that it's impossible to judge the defendant. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Edgeworth? And who, Mr. Wright? Who is this other person? Simple. It was... the man who checked in with Miss May. Ugh. Your Honor, as has been previously revealed, Miss April May was tapping the victim's phone, yet Miss May herself has an alibi at the time of the murder. However, that does not clear the man that was with her. The bellboy saw no one else in the room at the time of the murder. What a convenient little setup, but it's too late. Too late? I suppose you'd like it if it was too late, wouldn't you? After all, it was you who hid the presence of the other man from this court. Ugh. Upstart. Amateur. These accusations are ludicrous.
Enough. The court acknowledges the defense's argument. I expect the prosecution and defense to look into this matter fully. Am I understood?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
That is all for today for the trial of Maya Fey. Court is adjourned.
Mr. Wright, you were amazing in there. Really? I think I might be your newest fan. Oh, I was just doing my job, you know? Then again, that other attorney was pretty cool, too. Huh? That face of his, with his eyes wide and trembling lips, it sent shivers up my spine. If you say so. So what happens with me? Do I get to go home now? Well? No, I don't think so. Not yet. Oh, I see. But I got a great lead in today's trial. A lead? That man with Miss May, he's the key. Oh, I get it. What happened to Miss May after that, anyway? I heard they arrested her. I guess she's learning her charms won't work everywhere. She's probably at the detention center now. I may have to go down there later. Anyway, this case is far from closed. Yes, sir. I'm going to find out more about this man. Do you think he was the one who... Maybe so. Sis. Don't worry, I'll find him by tomorrow, I promise. I'm counting on you. I asked for a full record of April May's testimony. I thought it might come in handy during the trial tomorrow. But now that I have it, I'm not so sure. Most of her testimony was all lies. In fact, there's only one part that hasn't been stricken from the record. I don't know how much good this will do me at all now. Anyway, time to hit the pavement and do some investigating. Maya doesn't belong in that detention center, and it's up to me to set her free. Okay, I'm going to take just a couple minutes break to stretch and rehydrate. I'll be back in a minute. Please don't go anywhere. And I'm back. Let us continue. Well, hello. I didn't expect anyone to visit me in such a dank place as this. It's really quite moving. Not, you stinking lawyer. I hope you die. Have you come to laugh? Yes, laugh at the fallen in Miss May. No, not really. There's something I wanted to ask. Unfortunately, there's nothing I want to be asked. Haven't you done enough questioning, you spiky head? Here we go again. Please, you're scaring the security guard. So, what is it you wish to ask of me then, For starters, how did you get to be so totally whacked? About the man who stayed with you in your hotel room. Can you tell me about him? Where is he? Come on. No way, Jose. Maybe if I had something to get her to talk. That's usually a clue to present some kind of evidence. Oh. Hey, guess what? Actually, I really hate your guts. So get lost because, well, I'm not cooperating. Thanks, I noticed. Well... Okay, we've already gotten that, so... Alright, well, we'll just, see what else she'll say. Why did you place a wiretap on Mia's phone? Aw, when you say it like that, it sounds so... cold, so criminal. Tapping people's phones is a crime, Miss May. Oh, and I suppose you learned for that in lawyer school, Creep. This woman is impossible to talk to. Say, why are you so angry? I mean, you don't look like a bad person. Oh, that does it! Bottom-feeding, scum-sucking lawyer. Bottom? I can't tell. Does she have a thing against lawyers or just against me? Alright, well, I'm not getting anything out of her until I guess I'll go to the Fade & Co. Law Offices here. Maybe there's something important here. Looks like forensics is taking the day off today. Detective Gumshoe's nowhere in sight. The police really gave this place a working over. Doubt there are any valuable clues left. Suppose it can't hurt to take a look around, though. Let's see. You couldn't cram more legal books in here even if you wanted to. All the cases that the chief worked on are filed here. Are some of the files missing? Nah, I'm imagining things. Mia's desk. Perfectly clean, as always. The only thing that's missing is Mia. Little movie poster. Apparently, this was the first movie that made Mia cry when she saw it. I'll have to check it out one of these days. Mia's favorite potted plant. Guess I'll have to water it now. The sky's blue, and so am I. There's a hotel right across the way. Well, I guess there's really nothing to see here. Okay, let me try. Let's try Gatewater. Ah, welcome, sir. Quite the performance today, if I dare say so myself. Oh, thanks. Sorry for putting you on the spot like that. No, not at all, sir. Your efforts today can only help the Gatewater's rep, as they say. Huh? Rep? Yes, our reputation will swell as a hotel where the murderer used a wiretap. We can charge a premium for the room, of course. It'll be great for business, sir. Whoa! Miss May hasn't even been charged with murder. I, too, will become famous. The bellboy who brought the murderer iced coffee. Why do I feel like we're both stuck in the same bad dream? So, you are our honored guest. Please let me know if there's anything I can bring you. About Miss May. Oh, her? Sir, not to boast, but I knew the moment I saw her. She'd do it, I said. Do what? I'm starting to think that the most suspicious person here is this guy. I wanted to ask you about the man who was with Miss May. Ah, yes. He struck me as a real lady killer, if you'll pardon the expression. I knew it from the moment I saw him, sir. He and I are of the same ilk. We both carry the scent of danger. There we are in total agreement, Mr. Psycho Bellboy. If you had a photo of the man, I'm quite sure I could identify him. A photo?
Could you tell me about this hotel? Absolutely. And on that subject, I have an excellent idea, sir. Currently, this hotel is known as the Gatewater. I propose that we add a subtitle. A subtitle? The Gatewater Hotel, Murder Manor. Well, what do you think? Sounds great. Whatever floats your tea set. Now, looks like I need a photo of the guy she was with, which leaves the Grossberg Law Offices to check out. Oh, that's strange. Huh. Looks like Grossberg is out today. Again. And he's avoiding me for some reason. Wait a second. Wasn't there a giant painting hanging on that wall? Yeah, it was a painting of... Wasn't it? It was fishermen, I thought. It wasn't a very memorable painting, anyhow. What's this? Old photos. There are two lying here. Something's been written in pencil on the backs. Dl6 Incident, Exhibit A. Dl6 Incident, Exhibit B. Let's take a look at these. I'm sure I've seen this person somewhere. Perhaps I'll borrow this photo. I'm sure no one will miss just one little photo. That might be a valuable clue. I'll take it for now. A photo lies on the desk. Maybe I should switch it with the one I took. I think I'll swap them. Take a look at this photo. That's him, Detective. I'm the lawyer. Oh, I know that. I just wanted to say detective once. You know how it is. No, I don't. Without a doubt, that is the man who checked in with Miss April May. How about I write an affidavit swearing that's him? An affidavit? This guy's way too excited about this. Well, sure, why not? Yes, I've always wanted to write an affidavit, sir. From henceforth, I will be known as the bellboy who swore the affidavit. Just hurry up and write it. Not even Miss May can play dumb to this. And that's our cue to go to the detention center. You again? Can't you take a hint and stay gone? Hey, the only reason I'm back here is because you won't talk to me. Oh, so it's my fault now? You don't just have spiky hair, you also have a spiky heart. That doesn't. When this case is done, I'm shaving my head. Spoiler alert, he doesn't shave his head. Alright, let's see. We need the bellboy's affidavit. Here it is. Could you have a look at this? What's that? The bellboy's affidavit. It tells us everything he saw, such as the man you checked in with, who was most definitely this guy. Now I'm getting somewhere. This is it. All or nothing. Time to do a little bluff. No use playing dumb. If indeed that's an act. If you don't talk, I'm taking this info to the press. What? Even though he should have been witness to murder, your little friend was missing. I'm sure the press would have a field day with his reputation. Ooh, fine, I'll talk. You win, lawyer. Yes. Man, that felt good. It's great to be alive. Why are you pumping your fists in the air? Now, tell me about the man you were with. That man, he's my boss. Red White, the president of the information gathering conglomerate Blue Corp. Red White? Information gathering? Well, I suppose you could call it a detective agency. So this is the man that was with you the night of the murder. I'm scared to talk.
I don't want to end up like her. It's okay, I'll just ask Mr. White himself. Can you tell me where Blue Corp is located? Mr. Red White, at last. Finally, a lead on this guy. If April May couldn't have done it, that leaves him. Time to take action. Bellboy's affidavit discarded. Alright, let's go to Blue Corp. Oh, look, there's the painting. What's with the surreal decor? Welcome! Please furnish me with the title of your personage. What the? Your name! What's your name? I was just inquiringly asking you the title that you go by. Wright. Phoenix Wright. Inquirably? Mr. Wright, is it? Right, I see. Splendiferous. Perhaps I've intimidated you with my giantesque vocabulary. What is this guy's problem? I'm Red White, CEO of Blue Corp. You know, corporate expansion official. My business dealings bring me into contact with the elite of the elite. So I'm afraid I'm not used to conversing with the wordily challenged. What a fruitcake. Let me guess. You're an attorney fresh out of law school, are you not? That's the only explanation for why you would come to me like this. What does he mean by that? No matter. So, what business does a mighty lawyer have with a man such as myself? Yipes, this guy's arrogance meter is off the scale. Miss May is an employee of Blue Corp, is she not? Correct, she was my secretariat. What a shock it was to hear what she's done. What she's done? You mean the wiretap? Indeed, she is paid to answer phones. Tapping them is not in her job description. She does gather information for us as part of her duties, but I assure you we do not condone illegal methods. It's ineffable that she would do this. Sounds like he's trying to turn Miss May into a scapegoat. On the night of the murder, were you in April May's hotel room? Who can say? I seldom pay attention to mundane details such as time and place. My motto is, don't worry, be happy. Still, Mr. White, the hotel bellboy has stated on the record that he does remember you very clearly. No matter, the bellboy can say what he pleases. I still won't talk to you. If you want me to speak, put me on the witness stand. Although I doubt you'd be capable of doing that. It raises a good question, actually. Why didn't the prosecution call him as a witness? He should have seen the same thing as April May. The police, the courts... To me, they are mere toys. Playthings for my amusement. What kind of company is Blue Corp, anyway? Ah, excellent question. We buy and sell various kinds of information. We're a company of the future, you might say. We are the future. Sell information? In just 10 years, I built this business up into the grand office you see now. In case you were wondering, Blue Corp was named after the color blue. I, Red White of Blue Corp, as founder and CEO, named it so. And why, you ask? Because I like the color blue, of course. Fantabulistic, is it not? There's something that's been bothering me. Yes, what might that be? That big painting on the wall over there. You know, I've actually seen that painting before. Oh? Just yesterday, actually. Your point being... My point is simple, or rather, my question is simple. Why is that painting hanging on your wall? Mr. Wrong, was it? Right. It appears you do not fully grasp your position here. I ask again, who are you? A lawyer? No, my feeble friend, a mere lawyer. Worth nothing, zilch, zippo, nada. Just like that sorry excuse for an attorney, Grody Burger. But what? Oof! He punched me. Well, Mr. Lawyer, what will you do, huh? Charge me with assault? Charge away, I welcome it, for it is you who will be found guilty. What? Heed my exposition. The police, the courts, they all do my bidding. So you say. But I wonder, is that kind of control really possible? I don't expect you to understand. It is a world beyond your compensation. You came here from Grody Burgers, I presume? Mr. Grossberg's. Yes. Then you must ask him, why is it that this painting of his hangs here? Perhaps then he'll tell you. Perhaps you'll explain how a man can live life purely for personal profit. Go now, skedaddle. There is nothing more to discuss. Okay. To the Grossberg Law Offices. Huh? I don't think he's noticed me standing here. Maybe I should clear my throat?
Ahem! Jumping Jehoshaphat's! Oh, you.
What's wrong? You look so pensive, like an old man at the end of his days.
I'm not senile yet. I was just thinking about this whole mess.
Something's really bothering, that much is clear. So you came to see the trial?
Yes, I did. Something was bothering me all last night, you see? Couldn't get a wink of sleep.
Really? What was that?
Well, you see, it's just... Mia's sister, that poor girl. My boy, I owe you my thanks, truly. I don't know what I would have done if things had gone poorly for the girl.
I asked before, but why did you refuse her request for defense? I think I have a right to know.
Right, Mr. Wright? No, I'm sorry. It's just... I need more time to think about it, my boy.
He does seem troubled about something. Starting to have a feeling I know what it is. So I paid Blue Corp a visit.
Oh, I see.
Mr. Grossberg, I have to admit, something has been bothering me.
Oh, what is it? Out with it, my boy.
You see, it's just... Mr. Grossberg, sir, there was a giant painting hanging right there the other day, was there not? The one that you said you had no intention of parting with? Well, I saw it, today. It was in the CEO's office at Blue Corp, Red White's office.
So, you noticed. I suppose I should have guessed you would. It is a large painting.
Mr. Grossberg, I know you and Mr. White are connected somehow.
Connected, you say?
Yes, and I know what it is. Okay, I have to pick this one. It's not something I can claim to understand, but you and Mr. White are lovers, aren't you?
What? My boy!
You sent that painting to him as a sign of undying love.
My boy, please! You're letting your fancies run away with you. Where do you get these bizarre ideas?
I don't understand how you could...
That's because we're not... Don't be ridiculous. Enough. I'll swallow my pride and tell you all.
I knew it. They are lovers.
No, we are not lovers! Red White is a man who makes his living through intimidation. Blue Corp is a company that excels in finding people's weaknesses, I'm afraid. I've been paying them for 15 years now.
15 years?
All because of the Dl6 Incident, as you may have guessed.
The name on the back of those photographs.
As you suspected, I could not stand in defense of Maya because of this. White would have destroyed me if I did.
So that's the connection.
It's hard for me to tell you this, my boy, but arresting Red White will be nigh on impossible.
Impossible? Why?
He's information on everyone. It gives him an iron grip. He owns judges, attorneys, prosecutors, police, and politicians.
What?
They're bound, unable to do harm to themselves and therefore to him. Don't look at me like that. What you see is nothing more than the weight of many years.
What is the Dl6 Incident?
Dl6 is nothing more than the sorting code the police gave the case. It was 15 years ago now. I received a request from a medium, a spirit medium.
A medium?
Her name was Misty Fay.
Faye?
Indeed, she was Mia's mother. She had been investigating a murder at the request of the police. And she failed. As a result, the police called her a fraud.
This is what Maya was talking about the other day.
I did all I could for her, and in the end cleared her of wrongdoing. That murder case, however, remains unsolved to this day. That case is the Dl6 Incident.
But why were you blackmailed over this, Mr. Grossberg?
The Dl6 Incident was top secret at the time. It made sense. The police didn't want people to know they were using a medium. They couldn't let people know. But one person found out. I told him.
You told White?
He offered me riches. It's an embarrassment to me now. Because I talked, the police were marked far and wide. In secret, they began looking for the one who sold them out. Of course, White heard about it and he came to me. Only this time, the offer was blackmail.
I see.
Wright controls the law of this country as he sees fit. Yet if you would still challenge him, have a close look at Mia's office.
Mia's office?
She followed his every move for years. She may have recorded something of what she found.
Okay, then. To the office. It's funny looking at this room. It seems so normal. Hard to imagine a murder took place here. Mr. Grossberg said there would be clues. Maybe I should have another look. Well, all the cases the chief ever worked on are filed here. They're in alphabetical order. Let's take a look. Which file should I look at? Well, Dl6 Incident should probably be from file A through I, so... Let's see if there's an A record in this file. Let's see if there's a record in this file that catches my eye. Cute. A, B, F. Misty Faye. That's Mia and Maya's mother. Should I take a look? Read it. I have tarnished the Faye name, leaving only these words, my mother vanished. I was determined to find the ones who had made my mother blame herself in this way. Using the power that runs in my family, I held an audience with the dead. Finally, the names of two men surfaced. One was Marvin Grossberg, a lawyer who sold my mother's information for riches. The other was the man who sold that information to the press. This parasite who makes his fortune on threats and coercion. His name is... The record stops there. So Mia knew Grossberg. All the cases the chief ever worked on are filed here, or in alphabetical order. Let's take a look. Let's try file J through S. Let's see, J through S. Nothing much in here. Maybe I'll just skim some of this. Skim. Well, no harm in flipping through a bit, I guess. The biggest part's here at the end in S. Suicide? Ugh. She's a collection of suicide reports. There's politicians, policemen. There's writing on most of these in pencil. White? This is Mia's handwriting. Wait, I get it. Mia thought he was involved in these suicides. White drove them all to... I can use these newspaper clippings. Let's find the most disturbing one. Alright. Check Mia's file once more. Check files T through Z. T, U... I know, W. White. The entire W section is missing. Was it taken? Okay, well then. Let's go confront this stuck-up snob. Well, aren't you persistent? Sorry, but there's something I have to ask you. Mr. Lawyer, I really hate having to repeat myself, but it seems the message has not yet penetrated your thick skull. Stop bothering me. If you try my patience further, I fear a nasty accident may occur. Do I make myself clear? Transparent. This is the only clue that Mia left me. I'd better make this one count. Mr. White, see this? It's an article describing the suicide of a politician. He was embezzling secret government funds. Then, one day, word got leaked to the press. The very next day, he took his own life. And this concerns me how? I found this article in Mia's office. Miss Mia, she had a file filled with the articles like this. Every one of them was labeled with a single word, White. Mr. White, I know what you did to this politician. You were blackmailing him. Blackmail? Not just him, either. You were threatening and coercing hundreds of others. You were involved in all the suicide cases that Mia investigated. This company is built on blackmail. I'm right, aren't I? What a bizarre accusation. Mr. Wrong. What is it that you should be doing now? Investigating me? No, I think not. You should be searching for the one who killed Miss Mia. Secretary's office, hello? Mr. Wrong will be leaving now. Yes, sir. I'll send someone right away. Wait a second, Mr. White. You're wrong, Mr. White. Excuse me? What I should be doing now is going after you. Just what are you insinuating? Mia was onto you. She was keeping tabs. For this reason, you had April May tapping her phone. Then Mia was murdered, and all the documents about you mysteriously disappeared. So the culprit would be... Even a child could work it out, Mr. White. You did it! Secretary's office. We won't be needing an escort from Mr. Wrong. Instead, please connect me to the public prosecutor's office. Of course, sir. One moment, please. White, that you? What are you doing calling me at a time like this? Oh, sorry, Chief Prosecutor. Hello, Chief Prosecutor. I've changed my mind. I want to testify tomorrow. What's this about? The Mia Fey case. I witnessed the murder, you see. And thus, as a very important witness, I would like to testify. What? Why now? I thought you said you didn't want to go to court. Quietude. I told you I changed my mind, didn't I? Oh, and one other thing. Send the police over here right away. The man is standing right in front of me. He looks dazed, but he could be violent. What? What man? Are you even listening? The executioner, the hatchet man, the liquidator, the killer, man! What? Mr. White, this isn't another one of those... Chief Prosecutor, I do not believe you are in a position to freely offer your opinions to me, correct? I'm telling you to send the police, now! Did I not tell you, Mr. Wrong? You are a mere lawyer, as was Miss Mia. How dare you? I'll point the finger at you, and you'll be tried as Miss Mia's killer. The case is as good as settled. No lawyer of any worth will defend you. I have friends in the local lawyers' association, you see. You'll be given a lawyer so stupendously adept that they make even you look competent. I feel faint.
Detective Gumshoe reporting, sir. Ah! Butts! Harry Butts!
Right, actually. Phoenix Wright. And my friend's name is Larry.
Oh, right. Sorry, pal. Butts was that murderer, right?
Detective Gumshoe, I present to you the man who killed Miss Mia Fey.
What?
Take this despicable human being into custody. Farewell, Mr. Wrong.
I can't believe it's only been a day since the first trial. My trial begins tomorrow. White's going to set a trap for me, and the prosecution will be in on it, of course. Edgeworth included. An attorney was assigned to me by the state yesterday. I refused. I had an idea. Wright! Mr. Wright! Oh, Maya. Great, they let you out of detention. Just now, yes. It's all thanks to you. Now I'm afraid we've switched places. What? You mean You? I explained what had happened to Maya. One second here. I don't believe it. How many people does that man need to destroy before he's satisfied? My mother, my sister, and now you. This has gone too far. Mr. Wright, please tell me, is there anything I can do? Well... Right, okay, listen up. I want you to help me break out of here. You mean a jailbreak? Yeah, tonight's our only chance. All right. Huh? Oh, I better go get a hacksaw while the stores are still open. Oh, and a rope ladder, and a getaway car. Can you drive? Wait. What? I'm kidding. It was a joke. No way. No, really, I was kidding, but thanks. It's good to know you're on my side. And there really isn't anything you can do for me anyway. But I can't just sit here and do nothing. I've got to give that man a piece of my mind. Just a piece? One second here. Then come to the trial tomorrow. Okay, I'll be there. I'll show them a thing or two. Times may change, yet with crime, it's the same old story. In fact, it's gotten worse. Lengthy court proceedings are no longer realistic. Beginning a few years ago, a limit of 3 days was put on initial court trials. Almost all finish in a day, most with a guilty verdict. I never thought I would end up in the defendant's chair myself for this case. With the true culprit appearing as a star witness. This is it. Tomorrow it's me or him. Alright, saving progress. And on to the trial. Well, I guess this is it. Yeah. One way or another, this case gets decided today. Phoenix, look! Prosecutor Edgeworth. I received a call from the Chief Prosecutor's office yesterday. I was told that whatever Mr. White says today will be the absolute truth, no matter how you try to attack his testimony. Excuse me. If I raise an objection, I have it on good faith that the judge will listen to me. What? Does White have the judge in his pocket too? So you're saying I'm going to be guilty. End of story? I'll do anything to get my verdict, Mr. Wright. Anything. Why? Why? How can you torment an innocent person like this? Innocent? How can we know that? The guilty will always lie to avoid being found out. There's no way to tell who's guilty and who's innocent. All that I can hope to do is get every defendant declared guilty. So I make that my policy. Edgeworth, you've changed. Phoenix, you know him? Don't expect any special treatment, Phoenix Wright. Phoenix? Well, the court will be starting soon. What? But wait! Your defense attorney isn't even here yet. They're not... I'll be defending myself. What? Okay, let's do this.
Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Phoenix Wright.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you're up to doing this?
Yes, Your Honor. I will be defending myself.
Understood. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. Your opening statement, please.
As the details of the event are already quite clear to the court, today we will hear the testimony of a witness to the defendant's crime.
I see. The prosecution may call its witness.
That went far too smoothly. Why didn't the judge ask Edgeworth why his witness didn't testify before? It's like he already knows why. If anyone's gonna raise an objection about this, I suppose it's me. Mr. Edgeworth, you owe an explanation to the court. Why didn't this witness testify in the trial against Miss Maya Fey? I'm ever so sorry. Mr. White is a busy man, and besides, at the time I thought that Miss May's opinion was all that would be needed. Again, my sincerest apologies to the court.
Excellent, Mr. Edgeworth. I appreciate your demeanor.
Great. He gets to show off and I get nowhere. I'd like to call Mr. Red White to the stand. Please state your full name. You wish to know the title of my personage? Your name? Yes, that is what I said. Oh dear, do my locutions confuse? Name! These two are great together. My name is Red White, but my friends call me Blanco Nino. I am the CEO, or to use a more common term, the president of Blue Corp. Did you know the victim, Miss Mia Fey? That would be a negatory. No, I did not. Okay, well, thanks for sticking around, Reeve. I appreciate it, and hope you can be back as well. You were at the Gatewater Hotel the night of the murder? Correct. And you witnessed the murder from there. Why tell what you already know?
Very well, Mr. White. You may begin your testimony.
If I can't rip this guy's testimony apart, I'm done for. Why do I always feel it's the end of the world and I'm the last man standing? Ho ho ho. I hope you've made your peace with God, Mr. Lawyer. Let him have it, Phoenix. Let's see, it was about 9 o'clock, I believe. I was quietly perusifying, that's reading to you, some papers by the window. Then I heard a bedlam coming from outside. Surprised, I turned to look at the building across the way. It was then I saw him, a spiky-haired man attacking a woman with long hair. Needless to say, that man was none other than you, Mr. Lawyer. I called Miss May over at once. She, too, was flabbergasted, of course. The victim, she ran away, but you gave chase. Finally, there was a terrible impaction. Then it was all over.
If things occurred as you testify, then I'm afraid the defendant is guilty. Very well, defendant. Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Let's see, it was about 9 o'clock, I believe. How do you know what time it was? Because I'm always abso-absolutely perfect, you know? No, you're not getting away with that. You're so mistrusting, Mr. Lawyer. So, what was the proper term for secretary again? Anyway, Miss May ordered room service for 9 o'clock. It happened soon after the room service arrived. That's what Miss May said, too. True, the bellboy who brought the coffee saw Miss May. But he testified that he did not see you at the time. This is your concern? Silly lawyer, Miss May received the coffee outside the room. Of course he could not see me. He would need X-ray vision to pull off something like that.
Tell us, what were you doing at the time? I was quietly perusifying, that's reading to you, some papers by the window. By window, you mean the one directly across from Fay & Co. Law Offices? Correct. That's the only window, you see. And there where you were reading papers? Correct. The Gatewater's a businessman's hotel, and I'm a busy man who had business to do. Then I heard a bedlam coming from outside. A bedlam? It must have been when you attacked, I assume. We see. Continue. Surprised, I turned to look at the building across the way. So you were reading your papers until you heard that sound. But of course, I'm no snoop, peeping out of windows at night. No snoop? Yeah, right, you've made a career out of snooping. It was then I saw him, a spiky-haired man attacking a woman with long hair. Spiky-haired? Needless to say, that man was none other than you, Mr. Lawyer. What you just said directly conflicts with Miss May's testimony. Miss May clearly stated the assailant looked like a girl. I've always been proud of my eyesight, Mr. Lawyer. Just what is your eyesight? Counting both eyes, 40. 40? Don't add them together!
I think the witness is trying to say his eyesight is good.
Hey, whose side is the judge on, anyway? And what did you do then? I called Miss May over at once. She, too, was surprised, of course. What was Miss May doing at the time? Oh, wrong button. She'd just finished watching a soap opera on the TV and was weeping openly. Did you know she'd been tapping the Fay office phone? Irrelevant, that has nothing to do with the case at hand. I care not. I will answer the lawyer's bold inquiry. Miss May was acting alone when she tapped the phone of this Fay woman. You'd make a good politician, Mr. White. Oh, I know! After all, I am El Presidente.
Please continue.
The victim, she ran away, but you gave chase. Can you be a little more detailed about that? I think it's worth knowing exactly what happened. Of course, comprende, I understand. The victim was attacked by you and ran to the left. You gave chase and struck her down. Are you sure? As you know, I'm always absolutely perfect.
Perhaps you could change your testimony to reflect this new detail.
The victim ran to the left and you gave chase. That doesn't sound quite right. May testimony said the victim dodged an attack and ran to the right. Wait right there. Mr. White, you've dug your own grave. What is this? You said the victim ran to the left, but that directly contradicts Miss May's testimony. She clearly stated that the victim ran right. Oh, it's simple. You have misheard her. I think not. Look at the floor plans. The killer was here, and the victim here. If the victim ran to the left, as you claim she did, she would have been running directly away from the door. She would have been running into a dead end. Don't you find that odd? Very strange. I did see her run to the left, I did. Phoenix, look at his face. I don't think he's lying about this one. True. Maybe he really did see the victim run left. So did he did witness the killing? Wait a second.
Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor?
Miss May says right and Mr. White says left. Can you explain this contradiction to the court?
Both are right. Both witnesses are telling the truth, for once. Ha! I doubt it. Rather, that does not clear up the contradiction. There is one scenario that would explain their conflicting accounts. What?
Obviously, the witness was not viewing the crime from the hotel.
Mr. Wright, what do you mean?
Yes, what do you mean he was not viewing the crime from the hotel? If he was not in the hotel, where could he have been? In the law offices of Fay & Co., of course. More specifically, he was standing here. Time to show the court where Mr. White was standing. This is where he was. Look, when the victim ran for the door, if he was watching from this point, to him it would appear that she ran to the left. Please, this is no time for jokes and ill taste. That is where the killer was standing.
Order! I will have order! Anyone disturbing the order of this courtroom will be held in contempt. Mr. Wright, what are you suggesting?
Rapscallion! The postulations of the defense are a distortion of the truth, Your Honor.
Indeed, they do seem a bit far-fetched.
Ho ho ho. You provide us with so much entertainment, Mr. Lawyer. What now? He's laughing? The hilarity of the moment made me remember something. It appears that I've been unclear, and for this I apologize. Your Honor, might I be allowed to testify once more?
Very well, let's hear your revised testimony.
Good luck. You can't fix a broken testimony, bunny. Miss May's testimony was correct, as was mine. When you assaulted the girl, she first ran to the left, and then you hit her savagely. That is what I saw. Next, with the last of her strength, she ran to the right. You chased her and delivered the final blow. That is what Miss May saw. You see, you hit her twice. Don't you remember, Mr. Lawyer?
That does seem to make sense. Will you be cross-examining the witness's testimony?
You bet I will. Yes, Your Honor. Miss May's testimony was correct, as was mine. When you assaulted the girl, first she ran to the left, and then you hit her savagely. That is what I saw. Let me check something here. Died from a blow by a blunt object. Clock in the form of a statue. Yeah, I don't think the evidence is quite enough. Let's press him on this. I didn't hit anyone. Now, Mr. Wright, there's no point hiding things from this court. I'm not hiding anything. The prosecution requests that the defense refrain from interrupting the testimony.
Mr. Wright, you've been warned.
Why is he mad at me? Next, with the last of her strength, she ran to the right. What do you mean, next? Oh, gosh. Next is what comes after first. I know that! Then that is all you need to know, Mr. Lawyer. As I said, she turned and made a desperate dash to the right. You chased her and delivered the final blow. Stop saying it was me. But it was you. Mr. Wright, if you claim that it was not you, then show us proof. Can I do nothing right? Nothing? May I continue? That is what Miss May saw. So each of you saw different parts. Abso-positively, that's right, of course. Where did he pick up that annoying phrase? Anyway, moving along. You see, you hit her twice. So, were you watching both times? I suppose I was. And please excuse me for not testifying to this sooner. What do you think, Phoenix? I think we've got him right where we want him. He slipped. Let him laugh for now. I'll soon wipe that smile off his face. Okay. Well, died from a blow by a blunt object. It doesn't exactly contradict this, considering it... But, you know, let's give it a shot. Mr. White. The victim died from a single blow. Yeah, the autopsy report really should say a single blow, but anyway. What do you have to say to that? Now's my chance to hit him where it counts. Mr. White, wasn't it you who told this court you were absolutely perfect? I will refrain from using this phrase from now on. Your Honor, if you could ask the witness for new testimony. The witness is obviously confused, Your Honor. I would like to request a 10-minute break.
Yes, quite.
The witness is confused because he's lying. I emphatically request there be no break, Your Honor.
Yeah, we want justice. Don't let him get away. Very well. The witness would care to revise his testimony.
The crowd's on my side. No slipping out of this now, White.
Mr. White?
Oh, okay. Well, see, I looked at the other window when I heard that thing fall. And then the next moment, I saw Miss Mia run to the left. The killer, you, attacked her, but she dodged. And then she turned and ran for the door. Then you'd hit her in with a single blow. Thwap!
Thwap indeed. Very well. You may begin the cross-examination.
Mr. Your Honor, my stomach, you see, it's hurting.
Deal with it. This is almost over.
Well, see, I looked at the other window when I heard that thing fall. Let's see, options... No, not options, what am I doing? Thing.
There appears to only be the one window. This evidence clearly reveals a contradiction in that statement, Your Honor.
How exactly are that and evidence and the statement just now related?
They aren't, are they?
Not at all. Mr. Wright, please think the facts over before making accusations.
I don't think that won me any points with a judge. Alright. Now let's press him here. You heard that thing fall? What exactly was that thing?
Huh? Oh, that! That glass light stand.
Right, the one that had fallen over at the scene. Phoenix, did something about that strike you as odd? Yeah, very odd. That is odd. I'll press further. Mr. White?
Huh? What?
You're saying you saw the glass light stand?
Yes.
Then change your testimony to reflect that.
Sorry, my bad.
The witness will revise his testimony.
Okay, of course. A light stand was lying on the floor when I looked.
Yeah, you can't really tell it's a light stand from this angle. Mr. White, it was impossible for you to have seen the glass stand. What? Look at this.
These are the floor plans to the scene of the murder, yes?
Correct, Your Honor. Now, look. If you were to look through the window at the office, this is the area you'd be able to see. Here. Well, note that the stand is not within the visible area. Well, Mr. White, what do you have to say to that?
Ridiculosity.
Mr. White? If you were in the Gatewater Hotel, as you claim, you could not have seen the stand before it fell over. In fact, you wouldn't have been able to see it after it fell, either. There's no way you could have recognized the broken shards to the glass light stand. So, when did you see the stand, Mr. White? It must have been the moment that it fell. And the only place you could have seen that from is inside the Fay Law Offices. In other words, you were at the scene of the crime when the murder took place. Ah!
Mr. White?
Mr. White? You did it, didn't you?
Your Honor, Miss Mia.
Looks like we're about to get our verdict.
That's far enough, Phoenix Wright.
What? I forgot about Edgeworth.
Mr. White, I think the time has come. Shouldn't you confess your crime now,
What?
I said you should confess your crime. Ergo, confess that you placed the wiretap.
But wiretap?
Order! Mr. Edgeworth, explain to the court what you mean by this.
Distinguished members of the court, Mr. White is slightly confused. Allow me to explain.
I really don't like the way this is headed.
As you know, Mr. White is the CEO of Blue Corp. He ordered his secretary, Miss April May, to tap the law offices of Miss Fay.
What does that have to do?
Your Honor, the question is, when was the wiretap placed in the office, and by whom?
No, you wouldn't!
Mr. White, in order to place the wiretap, you entered Miss Fay's office. Am I correct? Correct! You are most correct, Miles.
Give me a break!
Yes, in order to place the wiretap, I breached the Fay & Co. law offices. That is when I saw that accursed light stand.
Now I'm confused. Please explain to the court what all this means, Mr. Edgeworth.
Gladly, Your Honor. Mr. Phoenix Wright has made his position quite clear. He is determined that Mr. White knew the glass stand was in the office. He has shown that there was only one time Mr. White could have seen the stand, at the very moment of the murder. Thus, Mr. Wright would like you to believe that Mr. White was the murderer.
I see.
However, it is a fact that Mr. White has been to that office well before the murder took place, when he went to place the wiretap. He could have seen the glass light stand then. Ergo, Mr. Phoenix Wright's theory is revealed for the baseless conjecture that it is.
Mr. White, you will testify to the court about this wiretapping.
Leave it to me. I feel faint. It was the beginning of September, the week before the murder. I had entered the Fay & Co. law offices. Of course, I had done so to place the wiretap. That is when I saw this glass light stand.
So you saw the stand before the night of the incident. And this is how you were able to identify what had fallen over, by the sound?
Correct, that is right.
I see. Very well. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine. What am I supposed to do now?
Good luck, Phoenix.
It was the beginning of September, the week before the murder.
Do you have proof?
Miss April May knew the details of Miss Fay's phone conversation. This proves that the wiretap was placed before the murder. Ah, right. I'd entered the Fay & Co. law offices.
Was it really you that went into the office? Or was it Miss May? Unidentified fingerprints several days old were found in the Fay & Co. Law Offices. Those were obviously Mr. White's. If I know Edgeworth, he's already run a check on those prints. Now, Mr. White, tell us why you went to the Fay & Co. Law Offices. Of course I had done so to place the wiretap. Why did you tap Mia's phone? This has no bearing on the current case, Your Honor. Blue Corp is a detective agency of sorts. We have a responsibility to protect client confidentiality. That is when I saw this glass light stand. Why did you notice something as innocuous as a light stand? The light stand was made entirely out of glass. It was quite stylish, so I guess it made a lasting impression on me. Such a beauticious thing deserves attention, does it not? That is all. Damn it. There's nothing there for me to press him on. Oh well, maybe he's rattled enough that I can bluff something out of him. Oh. Let's see. Beginning of September, week before the murder, he'd entered the Fay & Co. Law Offices. Of course, he'd done so to place the wiretap. Oh, don't tell me I've run out of ammo. I'm afraid that's as far as you go, Mr. Wright. Time has come for you to admit your defeat. You fought honorably. No more. I can't take this anymore.
Mr. Wright, are you giving up?
Yes, Your Honor. Phoenix! Phoenix, over here! I know that voice. Mia? Never give up, Phoenix. Mia? Where am I? The waiting lobby. What happened? Oh, right. I lost the trial. I was hallucinating. Ah, you're finally awake. Ah! Hey, Phoenix! Gak, that's no way to greet an old friend. Phoenix, I want you to look at me. You're... Maya? Didn't you know the Fey women have strong psychic powers? When you accepted your defeat in court, it appeared that was enough of a shock to awaken Maya's true powers. So Maya's channeling you, Mia? That's right, I am Maya, but I'm also Mia. Now, I want you to listen to me, Phoenix. Maya never gave up. You can't either. That's what I came here to tell you. But... we don't have much time, Phoenix. Now listen. You've already won. Huh? You have that receipt in the court record, right? Oh yeah, the one you wrote Maya on? Phoenix, White wrote that, not me. So what do I do with it? Look at the front of the receipt. The front? It's a regular receipt. Looks like it's from a famous department store. $1,000? Wow, big spender. Item, glass light stand? Date of purchase, September 4th. September 4th? That's right, Phoenix. I bought that stand the day before I was killed. Whoa. Now, what did Mr. White say in his testimony? It was the beginning of September, the week before the murder. He said he saw the stand the week before the murder. There you go. I think the court is about to reconvene. Go do it, Phoenix. You know you're innocent. Now you just have to prove it. Right.
court will now reconvene for the trial of Mr. Phoenix Wright. Is the defendant, are you all right, Mr. Wright?
Yes. Sorry, Your Honor. I'm fine now.
Then let's start where we left off.
Your Honor, there is nothing to go back to. The cross-examination of Mr. White is finished. All that is required now is for you to pass judgment on the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Your Honor, please give me one more chance. I promise you this is the last time I'll ask you.
But as Mr. Edgeworth has noted, the trial is more or less finished. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have an opinion on this matter?
I say, let us give Mr. Phoenix Wright his last chance.
Very well. You may begin your cross-examination.
It was the beginning of September, the week before the murder. Well, looks like we get to throw that receipt in his face now. Look closely at this. See the word Maya written on it in blood? You're grasping. I think not. Look at the other side of the receipt. The other side? Your Honor, would you tell the court what is written on the other side of that receipt?
Well, a glass light stand. And the date of purchase? Why, that's the day before the murder.
You see? Mr. White, when you allegedly injured Fay & Co. Law Offices at the beginning of September, the stand could not have been there. Ah! Well, Mr. White, can't get out of this one, can you? No, it's impossible. Uh-oh, he's losing it. Well, Your Honor, I understand there must be quite a bit of pressure on you. But I think you'll agree you can't judge me guilty under these circumstances.
Very well. Then, that is all for the trial of...
Not so fast, Phoenix Wright. Eh? What? No way can you worm out of this one! Oh, wait, I forgot. It's Edgeworth. There is a certain thread of logic to the defendant's claims. However, there is no concrete proof that Phoenix Wright is innocent. Ergo, I would like to request one more day before Phoenix Wright is granted his freedom. I need time to make one more inquiry to this matter. Another inquiry? This isn't going to be another one of those updated autopsy reports. This guy just makes evidence up as he pleases. This is bad. Mr. White's guilt is obvious. There's no need to prolong this trial any further.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
If anyone's going to call Mr. White to trial, it would be me, the prosecution. I need a day to ascertain whether these new claims have any basis in factual evidence.
I see. Objection denied.
What?
The completion of the trial of Mr. Phoenix Wright will be postponed until tomorrow.
No, there's no telling what'll happen if I can't end this now. Edgeworth is sure to come up with or just make up something. And after Mia showed up to help me and all. Mr. Your Honor, may I go home?
Of course, thank you for your time.
Ah. The witness will stay. Mia. Phoenix, read this note out loud. Mia, what's this? Your Honor, if I may.
You're quite persistent today, Mr. Wright.
You bet I am. My life is riding on this one. I have something I would like to read to the court. The memo Mia had given me was a list of names. Many of them sounded strangely familiar. People in finance, famous celebrities. That's when it happened.
Stop! Desist! Halt! Please, stop! Make him stop! How did you get that list?
Mr. White, admit your guilt. Right here, right now. Or else this list will be released to the press.
I confess. I confess. I did it. I hit her. I hit Miss Mia with the thinker.
Case closed, Your Honor.
Well, I see no reason to continue this trial. Mr. Wright,
Yes, Your Honor?
you've done it again. That was quite a spirited defense.
Yes, Your Honor. I guess you could say that. Well, you know how spirited it was.
Well, this court finds the defense, rather, the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright. That is all. This court is adjourned.
Well, I never thought I'd be saying this again. But congratulations, you're lucky I was born a Fae. I'm lucky I had both you and Maya on my side. I'm glad you made it. Thank you, Phoenix. You risked a lot to help me, and Maya. I won't forget it as long as I live. As long as you live? My time here's running out. Huh? Maya's powers are still weak. I can't stay here that long. But what? No, there's still so much to say. Don't worry. I'm sure we'll meet again. Chief! I'm not the chief anymore. Phoenix, can you come to the office tonight, say 9 o'clock? The office? I'll see you later. Chief, Mia. Being here, it's hard not to think about that night. You came! Mia, I was kind of worried you might not. Of course I came. Well then, I'm pretty hungry. How about a burger? Mia? You should see your face! Mia? What are you talking about? It's me, Maya. Maya? What, did I look like my sister? Look like you were her. I might be able to use that. Oh, Phoenix, go to the store and buy me lunch, would you? Maya, why are you here? Because of this. See, Mia wrote me a letter. Take care of Phoenix for me. Take care of? Huh? She means the office, this office. Someone has to help with the new Wright & Co. Law Offices, right? And who better but me, Maya Fey, reporting for duty. Wait, no. On second thought, let's make this casual. Yo, Nick. Maya here, ready to get down to business. You don't mind me calling you Nick, do you? It's a great name. Mia said that's what your friend Larry calls you. Nick? You know what this means? We're partners. You know, when I think about it, it is Maya's fault I'm here now. But if it wasn't for her, I'd probably be in jail. Wright & Co. Law Offices. It's got a good ring to it. Yeah. Thanks, Maya. Good luck, Phoenix. I'll always be here, watching. Right. Okay, Nick, let's do it. Huh? Do what? Burgers, dummy. Burgers. There's a great burger joint just down the street. Come on, time's a-wasting. Okay, well, wait up. A brand new episode has been added. and save progress. And with that, that is the end of Turnabout Sisters. I will be going to end the stream pretty quick here, so thank you all so much for joining with me and hanging out. I'll be back later on this evening at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time with The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. So be sure to come back for that. And yeah, this is Dr. Novelle signing out for just a couple hours while I get some dinner and all that good stuff. So I will see you all later. Have a good afternoon. Bye.